Our world is built on the secrets hidden in everyday substances. This is the epic story of civilization's most enduring materials, a journey from sand to sky that reveals how humanity shaped its destiny. You will discover the surprising forces that turned simple clay and stone into the foundations of empires and the engines of innovation. We will uncover why a Roman concrete recipe was lost for centuries and how a single thread of silk rewrote the map of global trade. These are not just tales of objects, but of the ambition and ingenuity woven into the very fabric of our lives. What is the one material you believe truly defines our modern age? A child's hand presses into wet mud, forming a simple shape. This act, repeated for millennia, marks humanity's first step from wandering to building. Clay is far more than mere dirt. It is the canvas for our first cities and the medium for our earliest words. In the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia, this humble substance became the foundation of civilization itself. Artisans discovered that by mixing clay with chopped straw and drying it in the sun, they could create sturdy bricks. These sun-baked bricks allowed communities to construct not just simple homes, but monumental ziggurats that reached for the heavens, structures so resilient their remains still stand today. At the very same time, in crowded scriptoriums, scribes used a stylus to press wedge-shaped marks into wet clay tablets. This was cuneiform, the world's first writing system. They recorded everything from epic myths and royal decrees to mundane business receipts, preserving a vivid record of daily life. As expert archaeologist Dr. Lena Petrova explains, clay tablets are time capsules. They give voice to people who lived thousands of years ago. The composition of clay made this possible. Its fine, plate-like particles become plastic when wet, holding any shape given to them, and then harden permanently when exposed to heat. This transformation was harnessed early on. The earliest firing techniques used simple open pits, but over time, the development of kilns, with their controlled high temperatures, created bricks and pottery of incredible durability. This fired clay was not just for walls and words. It was shaped into pipes for ancient plumbing systems, channeling water to create the first cities with true sanitation. It was coiled and fired into pots for storing grain, oil, and wine, securing food supplies and enabling trade, and it held deep symbolic power, appearing in creation myths across cultures where gods were often depicted fashioning humanity from clay. The magnificent Ishtar Gate of Babylon, a shimmering blue entranceway adorned with glazed brick lions, dragons, and bulls, stands as a stunning testament to clay's artistic potential. It is a powerful reminder of how a substance we walk over without a thought could anchor entire societies, enabling permanence, communication, and beauty. This humble material, born of earth and water, truly set the stage for every innovation that would follow. Massive blocks of limestone, each one weighing many tons, rise from the desert floor to form the Great Pyramid. The sheer scale of this construction, achieved with nothing but copper tools and human ingenuity, remains one of history's most profound puzzles. Stone was more than just a building supply. It was the bedrock of empires, chosen for its power to project strength and endure for eternity. Across the globe, civilizations made deliberate choices based on the stone beneath their feet. The Egyptians favored relatively soft limestone and sandstone for their workability, allowing artisans to carve intricate hieroglyphs and smooth, sloping sides. Far away in the Andes, the Inca selected andesite, an incredibly hard volcanic rock, to build Machu Picchu. They shaped each block with such precision that the walls fit together without any mortar, their seams so tight a knife blade cannot slip between them. As geologist Professor Michael Thorne notes, the choice of stone often reflected a culture's values. Marble denoted purity in Greece, while basalt was favored for its resilience in Mesoamerica. But how did they wrestle these colossal stones from the earth? The ancients mastered quarrying techniques that used nature itself as a tool. They would drill rows of holes into the bedrock, then hammer in dry wooden wedges. When these wedges were soaked with water, they would swell with tremendous force, cleanly splitting the rock along a predetermined line. Moving these multi-ton blocks was another Herculean task. The Egyptians used massive sledges dragged over wet sand to reduce friction, while the Romans constructed extensive wooden ramps and relied on the brute force of men and oxen. Stone was not merely functional, it was deeply symbolic. The towering Sarsen stones of Stonehenge were arranged to frame the movements of the sun, creating a celestial calendar. The robust granite of the Rosetta Stone, a material chosen to last forever, became the unexpected vessel for knowledge, its durable surface preserving the key that would unlock the secrets of Egyptian writing centuries later. And consider the magnificent Roman aqueducts built from precisely cut stone blocks that channeled fresh water for miles, enabling cities to flourish. This pursuit of permanence in stone reveals a universal human desire to leave a mark that time cannot erase. Yet, for all its strength, stone had its limits. It was heavy, difficult to shape with fine detail, and its sources were fixed to specific locations. The ambition of builders soon yearned for a material that could capture the same sense of grandeur, but with greater fluidity and versatility. Deep within a hot stone furnace, a green malachite rock began to weep a strange, shimmering liquid. This was the moment humanity first stole fire from stone, a discovery in ancient Anatolia that would end the Stone Age and ignite the Age of Metal. Copper was a revolution you could hold in your hand. Unlike stubborn flint or heavy rock, it was miraculously malleable, able to be hammered into a sharp edge, a sturdy axe, or an intricate piece of jewelry without shattering. This was not just a new material, it was a new kind of power. By around 5000 BCE, artisans in the Balkans and the Middle East were mastering this power. They learned that by repeatedly heating and hammering the metal, a process called annealing, they could make it even stronger and more durable. But the true genius emerged when curiosity led them to mix copper with another element, tin. The result was bronze, an alloy so much harder and more versatile that it would name an entire epoch. This was not a gradual shift, it was an arms race. As historian Dr. Aisha Khan observes, copper did not just change technology, it altered trade routes as sources in Cyprus and Oman became hubs of economic exchange. Suddenly, a shiny bead or a copper ingot was a form of currency, connecting distant cultures and fueling vast networks of commerce. The value of this metal extended far beyond the battlefield or the workshop. Ancient Egyptians used copper tubes to transport water, recognizing its ability to keep the flow pure. The Roman Empire documented its use in medicine for its natural ability to fight germs, a principle we now understand as antimicrobial. This versatile metal even played a hidden role in one of the modern world's most iconic symbols. The internal framework of the Statue of Liberty is a vast web of copper and iron, supporting her form from within. We can see just how precious this material was from a discovery high in the Alps. Ötzi the Iceman, a man who lived over 5,000 years ago, was found carrying a meticulously crafted copper axe. It was not merely a tool, it was his most valuable possession, a sign of status and skill in a world being utterly transformed. This transformation, however, came at a cost. The earliest mines scarred landscapes, and the constant demand for fuel to feed the smelters began to denounce forests. The pursuit of copper taught humanity how to reshape the very elements, but it also presented our first lesson in the environmental price of progress. This new mastery over metal unlocked unprecedented potential, but the softness of copper and bronze still had its limits. The ambition of smiths and kings now turned to a far stronger, more formidable material. The clang of bronze swords on an ancient battlefield signaled more than just conflict. It announced a new age of human ambition. This alloy of copper and tin, born between 3,300 and 1,200 BCE, was a material of golden sheen and formidable strength. It was durable enough for relentless warfare, yet beautiful enough for objects of sacred art, perfectly encapsulating the dual desires for power and prestige that defined the era. The creation of a single bronze object was a marvel of early engineering, often achieved through the lost wax method. An artist would first sculpt the desired shape, perhaps a deity or a ceremonial vessel, entirely in beeswax. This model was then encased in a clay mold and fired in a kiln. The heat would melt the wax, leaving a hollow cavity into which molten bronze was poured. Once the metal cooled, the clay shell was broken away, revealing a perfect, intricate metal duplicate of the original wax sculpture. This technique allowed for unprecedented artistic expression, producing everything from the dancing girl of Mohenjo-Daro to the majestic ritual vessels of Shang Dynasty China. In China, bronze also took on a more personal role, polished into mirrors that reflected not just faces but beliefs, often inscribed with symbols meant to ward off evil spirits. The demand for bronze components fueled history's first long-distance trade networks. Copper might be mined in Cyprus, but the tin needed to harden it was incredibly rare, found only in a few places like Cornwall in Britain and distant Afghanistan. This scarcity created a web of economic interdependence, connecting cultures that would otherwise never have met. As metallurgist Dr. Ben Carter explains, the Bronze Age was the first globalized era, its networks foreshadowing our interconnected world. The evidence for this is stunningly clear at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. The Uluburun shipwreck, discovered off the coast of Turkey, was a Bronze Age time capsule. Its hull contained a king's ransom in raw materials, including 10 tons of copper ingots and 1 ton of tin, a cargo ratio perfectly calculated for bronze production. This was not just a ship, it was a floating supply chain, a testament to how the pursuit of this alloy shaped international relations and economies. On the water, bronze fittings and tools made stronger ships possible, enabling the very trade that sustained the age. On land, the material defined culture and conflict. In Southeast Asia, massive bronze drums were cast, their deep, resonant tones used in ceremonies and to communicate across vast distances. Armorers experimented with new designs, creating protective gear that could turn the tide of battle. Yet, for all its glory, the Bronze Age system was fragile. When a perfect storm of factors, including invasions, climate shifts, and the disruption of those critical tin trade routes, converged around 1200 BCE, this interconnected world shattered in what we now call the Bronze Age collapse. The gleaming era of bronze, dependent on scarce resources and far-flung connections, ultimately revealed its vulnerability. This dependence on hard-to-find materials created an opening for a new, far more abundant metal waiting in the wings. The hammer falls, its rhythmic clang echoing not in a royal foundry but in a humble village smithy. This was the sound of strength becoming democratic. While bronze had been the metal of kings and elites, iron was the material of the people. Its ore was astonishingly common, found in bogs and hills across the globe, a stark contrast to the rare and distant tin required for bronze. This abundance meant that a farmer could now own a metal plowshare that was stronger and cheaper than any bronze tool, and a foot soldier could wield a weapon that once only a chieftain could afford. The epicenter of this revolution was the Hittite Empire in Anatolia, where smiths first mastered the high-temperature smelting needed to extract pure iron from its rocky prison. They guarded this knowledge as a state secret, a source of immense power. But around 1200 BCE, as empires crumbled and populations shifted, the secret of iron could no longer be contained. It spread like wildfire, carried by refugees and traders, reaching from the Mediterranean to the Far East. In China, ingenious engineers developed the blast furnace, a towering structure that could produce vast quantities of liquid cast iron, which was then poured into molds to create everything from cauldrons to statues. Meanwhile, in Europe, smiths perfected wrought iron, a softer, more malleable metal that could be hammered and shaped over an anvil into intricate tools and hardware. Archaeologist Dr. Sophia Rossi captures the profound social shift, noting that iron broke the monopoly of elite metals. It put power into the hands of farmers and soldiers, reshaping social hierarchies. But what was the difference between these various forms of iron? The answer lies in a single element, carbon. Wrought iron has very little carbon, making it tough and malleable. Cast iron is saturated with carbon, making it hard but brittle. The true breakthrough was steel, a material with just the right amount of carbon added through a process called carburization, where the iron was heated for hours in a bed of charcoal. This gave steel its legendary hardness and resilience, a perfect balance for swords and springs. We can see this advanced knowledge in the magnificent Delhi iron pillar, erected in India around 400 CE. This massive, 23-foot-tall column has stood for over 1,600 years without a speck of rust, a feat achieved through a precise, high-phosphorus composition that formed a protective shield against the elements. Far to the west, in the African kingdom of Nok, iron was not just for tools but for art, used to create the terracotta molds for their stunningly realistic sculptures. And in mythology, iron was revered as a substance with power over chaos, from the protective iron amulets of ancient Egypt to the mighty hammer of the Norse god Thor, a weapon said to be forged from the heart of a star. Can you consider how a plentiful rock could redefine civilization? Iron rails would later stitch continents together, and iron hulls would carry ships across oceans. This versatile, ubiquitous metal proved that true strength was not in scarcity, but in accessibility. Yet, for all its rugged utility, the human spirit still yearned for materials that combined this raw power with breathtaking beauty. A pharaoh's tomb sealed for eternity still glitters, its treasures untouched by time. Gold possesses a unique magic, a brilliance that never fades and a surface that never corrodes, making it the ultimate symbol of the immortal and the divine. This allure was universal. In the Americas, the Moche people crafted breathtaking funerary masks using the lost wax technique, while in Africa, kingdoms like Ghana built their legendary wealth on the golden trade routes that crossed the Sahara. The Egyptians were not merely collectors, they were master chemists and artists. They developed techniques like granulation, fusing microscopic spheres of gold onto a surface to create a shimmering texture, and filigree, twisting fine wires into delicate, lace-like patterns. This was not just decoration, it was a form of alchemy, transforming a precious metal into a language of power and belief. As economist Dr. James Wright notes, gold drove exploration and conquest. It was the engine behind empires like Spain's, yet it also inspired artistry in peaceful realms. The pursuit of this metal shaped the physical world. Early miners panned for alluvial gold in riverbeds, a simple but backbreaking process. Later, civilizations like the Romans engineered deep shaft mines, tunneling far underground in a dangerous quest for quartz veins laden with gold. The cultural rituals were just as profound. In Burma, artisans painstakingly gilded the Ashwedagon pagoda with thousands of gold leaves, a continuous act of devotion. In the ancient kingdom of Lydia, they performed a different kind of miracle, stamping gold into standardized coins, inventing a system of currency that would fuel commerce for millennia. The modern world has found new roles for this ancient metal. Its unparalleled conductivity makes it the hidden hero inside our smartphones and computers, ensuring reliable connections in our most advanced electronics. Its biocompatibility means it is safe for medical implants, used in everything from delicate components in pacemakers to treatments for arthritis. Yet this brilliance casts a dark shadow. Modern gold mining, especially artisanal and small-scale operations, can be devastating, often involving toxic mercury that poisons waterways and endangers communities. This ethical dilemma reminds us that the cost of beauty is often steep. Perhaps no single object captures gold's enduring power better than the mask of Agamemnon, discovered in a Mycenaean tomb. Though its connection to the legendary king is debated, its hammered gold face, frozen in a serene expression, speaks across 3,000 years. What is it about this metal that transcends time and culture? Its story intertwines with another precious material, one that offered not just reflection but transparency. A Roman glassblower in Alexandria dips his pipe into a crucible of molten sand, gathering a glowing orb that he breathes into a delicate vessel. This single innovation, glassblowing, transformed a luxury into an everyday object, creating sturdy containers for the perfumes, oils, and wines that fueled ancient trade. But the story of glass begins long before this moment of breath and fire. In Mesopotamia, over 4,000 years ago, artisans discovered that by melting sand with an alkali like soda, they could create a viscous liquid that hardened into a glossy, opaque solid. Their first creations were simple beads prized for their shimmering beauty, but the path to true transparency would take centuries. The key ingredient, lime, was the unsung hero. Added almost by accident as an impurity in the sand, it acted as a stabilizer, preventing the finished glass from dissolving in water and giving it the durability we know today. As materials scientist Dr. Elena Vasquez explains, glass is not a solid in the traditional sense, but a supercooled liquid. Its chaotic, amorphous structure is what allows light to pass through, granting it that magical property of transparency. This clarity would eventually change architecture forever. In medieval Europe, the development of crown glass allowed for the first true windows. A glassblower would spin a large bubble of molten glass until it flattened into a disc, which was then cut into panes. The very center of this disc, the bullseye, was often the thickest and most distorted, yet it let in light while keeping out the cold, fundamentally altering how people lived and worshipped. Nowhere is this more breathtaking than in the great cathedrals like Chartres, where stained glass windows became a luminous library for the illiterate, telling biblical stories through ruby reds and sapphire blues, each hue created by adding different metal oxides to the melt. The artistry reached its peak in Renaissance Venice, where the secret recipe for Cristallo was born. By using pure quartz pebbles and the ashes of certain plants, Murano's master glassmakers produced a glass so clear and colorless it rivaled rock crystal, making it the most sought-after luxury in Europe. But perhaps the most astonishing ancient feat is the Lycurgus cup, a Roman diatratum glass that changes color dramatically. In reflected light, it appears an opaque jade green, but when light shines through it, it glows a translucent ruby red. This is not a trick of the light, but a marvel of ancient nanotechnology. The glass contains millions of minuscule particles of gold and silver, so small they scatter light in this extraordinary way, proving that Roman artisans were manipulating matter at a scale invisible to the eye. From these ancient wonders, glass would become the eye of science itself. The lenses of telescopes and microscopes, made possible by the purity of glass, opened up the vastness of the cosmos and the hidden world of microbes. Today, that same principle of bending light is harnessed in fiber optics, where strands of glass purer than diamond carry our voices and data across oceans at the speed of light. How did a material born of common sand become a canvas for sacred art and a conduit for global connection? Its journey from humble bead to visionary window paved the way for another architectural revolution, one that would build with light itself. The Pantheon's dome in Rome still takes your breath away, a perfect hemisphere of stone and mortar that has weathered 2,000 years. This colossal structure, the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome, is not a monument to raw power but to a forgotten sophistication. Its secret lies in the very recipe of Roman concrete, a material that was not merely strong but astonishingly resilient, often outlasting the modern concrete we use today. The Romans did not simply mix sand and cement. They created an alchemical blend of lime, volcanic ash, and rubble. The magic ingredient was a specific ash called pozzolana, mined from the fields of Pozzuoli. When this ash mixed with lime and water, it triggered a chemical reaction that produced a glue far more durable than what holds our modern buildings together. But the true genius of this material revealed itself at sea. In Roman harbors like Portus, concrete breakwaters were submerged in seawater. Instead of crumbling under the constant assault of salt and waves, the salt water actually reacted with the pozzolana to form interlocking crystals that filled any cracks, making the concrete grow stronger with each passing century. As engineer Dr. Marco Bianchi explains, Roman concrete self-heals. It is a lesson in sustainable building that we are only now rediscovering. The construction techniques were just as advanced. They did not simply pour a single monolithic slab. They used a method of layered pouring, carefully placing different mixes of aggregate, from heavy rubble at the base to lighter, porous stone and even pumice at the very top of the dome. This reduced the overall weight without sacrificing structural integrity, a brilliant feat of ancient engineering. The economic impact was immediate and profound. With this durable, relatively quick-to-produce material, the Romans could rapidly deploy infrastructure on an unprecedented scale. The Appian Way, a road paved with concrete, allowed legions and merchants to move across the empire with startling speed, binding distant provinces to the capital. Aqueducts built from Roman concrete carried millions of gallons of fresh water daily, enabling cities to grow to sizes that would not be seen again in Europe for over 1,000 years. Yet our modern relationship with concrete is fraught with contradiction. It is the skeleton of our skylines, the foundation of our bridges, and the substance of our greatest architectural ambitions. But the production of its key component, Portland cement, is incredibly energy-intensive and accounts for a significant portion of global carbon dioxide emissions. This has sparked a race for innovation, with scientists looking back to the ancient world for answers. New formulations are being tested that incorporate industrial byproducts like fly ash, mimicking the pozzolana reaction. There are even experiments with carbon capture concrete, a material that can actively pull carbon dioxide from the air as it cures. What can these ancient recipes teach us about building for the future? The legacy of Roman concrete points toward a new paradigm, where our most common building materials are not just static and durable, but dynamic and restorative, capable of healing themselves and even healing the planet. This quest for a smarter, more responsive substance would eventually lead us to a material that is strong yet delicate, ancient yet utterly modern. A Chinese scholar's brush glides across a sheet of mulberry paper, capturing a thought that will outlive empires. This simple act was a revolution in communication. Invented in China around 100 BCE, paper made from pulped plant fibers like hemp and mulberry bark was a radical departure from the heavy bamboo scrolls and expensive silk that came before it. It was lightweight, relatively cheap to produce, and incredibly versatile. For the first time, knowledge was no longer tethered to stone or reserved for the elite. It could be folded, rolled, and carried across vast distances, a quiet force that would ultimately fuel the rise and exchange of entire cultures. The journey of this material began with a meticulous process. Workers would harvest plants, then soak and boil the fibers to break them down into a pulpy slurry. This slurry was then poured onto a flat screen mold where the water could drain away, leaving a thin mat of interwoven fibers. Once pressed and dried, this mat became a sheet of paper, ready to receive ink and ideas. The secret to its success was the strength of those long, flexible cellulose fibers, which created a durable yet smooth surface perfect for writing. As historian Dr. Lai Y observes, paper did not just record history, it accelerated it, allowing ideas to travel faster than ever before. This acceleration was made possible by the Silk Road. The knowledge of papermaking traveled west from China, reaching the Islamic world in the 8th century. There, artisans refined the technique, innovating with linen rags to create an even stronger, more consistent product. From there, it was only a matter of time before paper mills appeared in Europe, setting the stage for a German inventor named Johannes Gutenberg and his printing press. The combination of movable type and affordable paper created an explosion of information, making books accessible and igniting the fires of the Renaissance and the scientific revolution. But paper's role extended far beyond literature and scholarship. In China, it became the foundation for the world's first paper money, a concept that would transform global economics. It was fashioned into delicate lanterns and vibrant kites, blending art with everyday life. It found use in packaging, protecting precious goods, and later in hygiene products, improving public health in ways that are often overlooked. One of the most powerful testaments to paper's enduring power is the Diamond Sutra. Discovered in a sealed cave in Dunhuang, China, this scroll from the year 868 is the world's oldest surviving dated printed book. Its pages, made from 7 sheets of paper glued together, have preserved Buddhist wisdom for over a millennium. This single object demonstrates how a humble sheet could become a vessel for the human spirit, safeguarding knowledge through the ages. How did this simple sheet transform human communication? It gave our thoughts wings, enabling the rapid spread of everything from poetry and legal codes to scientific diagrams and maps. Yet the very physicality that made paper so powerful also presented a new challenge, a limitation of scale. The desire to record even more, to store vast libraries of information in ever smaller spaces, would eventually call for a material that was not just written on, but woven with light itself. A single thread of silk could unravel an empire's treasury or stitch together a fragile peace between nations. This was the reality along the Silk Road, where camel caravans carried bolts of fabric so precious they were valued at their weight in gold upon reaching Rome. The secret of this miraculous material, born from the humble Bomix mori silkworm, was guarded by China for over 2,000 years. It was a monopoly built on biology. The entire, intricate process of sericulture began with the silkworm's exclusive diet of mulberry leaves. The worms were carefully reared in controlled environments, their growth monitored until they began to spin their cocoons. A single cocoon could produce a continuous filament of silk up to 900 meters long. The trick was to unravel this thread before the moth inside could emerge and break it. Artisans would gently simmer the cocoons to loosen the sericin, a natural gum, then with incredible dexterity, find the end of the filament and unwind it onto a reel. Thousands of these fine threads were then twisted together to create a yarn strong enough for weaving. The resulting textiles were not just fabric, they were canvases. Using dyes extracted from plants, minerals, and even insects, weavers created vibrant scenes of dragons, phoenixes, and clouds, turning clothing into storytelling. Cultural anthropologist Dr. Anya Sharma observes that silk routes were not just trade paths, they were conduits for technology, religion, and art between East and West. This exchange was profound. Silk moved west, while glass-blowing techniques and mathematical concepts traveled east, all along the same dusty trails. The economic power of this monopoly was staggering. Chinese emperors used silk as a tool of statecraft, gifting vast quantities to nomadic tribes to secure their borders, or paying soldiers with the luxurious cloth. Its value was so immense that it became a de facto currency. But secrets are hard to keep forever. The legend tells of a Chinese princess who, upon being married to a king of cotton around the 5th century, smuggled silkworm eggs and mulberry seeds hidden within her elaborate headdress, breaking China's exclusive hold and planting the seeds of a new industry in Central Asia. Beyond regal robes, silk's unique properties found surprising modern applications. Its incredible strength-to-weight ratio made it the perfect material for the first parachutes, and its smooth, hypoallergenic nature allows it to be woven into fine surgical sutures that the human body can safely absorb. In cultures across Asia, silk remains deeply woven into the fabric of life, from the red wedding dresses that symbolize joy and prosperity to the sacred rituals where its purity is paramount. The myth of its discovery adds a touch of divine accident. They say Empress Lizu was drinking tea in her garden when a silkworm cocoon fell into her cup. The hot water loosened the tight thread, and as she pulled it out, she realized the single, gleaming filament could be unwound. From that chance moment, an empire of silk was born. How could something so delicate forge connections across continents and centuries? This pursuit of a material that blended sheer utility with breathtaking artistry would eventually point toward a substance not spun by worms but engineered by human intellect. A Ming Dynasty vase seems to capture light within its very structure, a translucent white canvas for tales of dragons and peonies painted in cobalt blue. This was porcelain, a substance so coveted it was known as white gold in the West. Its creation was an alchemy of earth and extreme heat, demanding a specific, pure white clay called kaolin, fired in massive kilns at temperatures soaring to 1,400 degrees Celsius. This intense, sustained heat caused the material to vitrify, transforming it into a non-porous, glassy solid that was incredibly strong, brilliantly white, and capable of producing a clear, ringing tone when gently tapped. The quest for this material in Europe became a kind of industrial espionage. For centuries, Chinese artisans guarded their monopoly, exporting exquisite pieces that drained the treasuries of European nobility. As art historian Dr. Kenji Tanaka notes, porcelain embodied cultural exchange. Mason in Germany eventually cracked the recipe, but Chinese designs remained the gold standard. This drove a frantic race for imitation, leading to the development of soft-paste porcelain in places like France and England, though none could initially match the strength and translucency of true Chinese hard paste. The global scale of this trade was staggering. The Dutch East India Company alone shipped millions of pieces, their holds packed with delicate blue and white ware that would define European dining tables for generations. The symbolism of porcelain was as refined as its composition. In the Japanese tea ceremony, a simple, imperfect ceramic bowl was valued for its wabi-sabi aesthetic, a celebration of rustic beauty, while Chinese porcelain, with its flawless surfaces, represented imperial perfection and cosmic harmony. Beyond the dining table and the altar, porcelain found surprising utility. Its resistance to electricity and high temperatures made it an ideal early electrical insulator, and its biocompatibility led to its use in dentistry, where it was shaped into durable, tooth-colored crowns. This demand came with an environmental cost, as the mining of kaolin clay scarred landscapes and consumed vast amounts of water. The true measure of porcelain's value is etched on the ocean floor. The wreck of the Geldermalsen, a Dutch East India Company ship that sank in the South China Sea in the 1750s, was discovered centuries later with its cargo of 150,000 porcelain items largely intact. This sunken treasure trove revealed not just the sheer volume of the trade, but the enduring nature of the material itself, surviving centuries under salt water where wood and iron had turned to dust. How did a specific type of clay become a universal symbol of refinement? Its journey from Chinese kilns to European castles shows a world being connected not just by trade, but by a shared desire for beauty that could withstand the tests of time and use. This pursuit of a perfect, manufactured substance would eventually push human ingenuity to its limits, demanding materials that were not merely shaped, but fundamentally designed. The Eiffel Tower's lattice skeleton is more than a monument. It is a declaration written in steel. This alloy of iron and a whisper of carbon became the literal backbone of the modern world, a material strong enough to scrape the sky yet precise enough for a surgeon's scalpel. For centuries, steel was a luxury, painstakingly made in small batches by skilled smiths. But in the 1850s, everything changed. Henry Bessemer's converter unleashed a storm of innovation, blowing air through molten iron to burn off impurities in a spectacular shower of sparks. This Bessemer process slashed the cost and time of production, transforming steel from an artisan's creation into an industrial commodity. Suddenly, railroads could stitch continents together with durable steel tracks, and cities began to climb vertically, their new skeletons fashioned from steel I-beams that allowed for both incredible height and vast, open interior spaces. Industrial historian Dr. Robert Fielding observes that steel built the modern world. It turned cities vertical and connected continents with railways and ships. The Brooklyn Bridge stands as a perfect testament to this new age. Its majestic span was only possible thanks to the strength of its steel cables, each one spun from thousands of individual wires, capable of supporting a roadway that connected communities and fueled commerce. But the story of steel is also one of constant refinement. The addition of chromium, typically around 10%, created a revolutionary new variant, stainless steel. This chromium reacts with oxygen to form an invisible, protective layer that prevents rust, making it ideal for everything from gleaming skyscrapers and kitchen sinks to medical implants that must survive inside the human body. In the 20th century, steel became the measure of national power. The massive output of steel mills directly fueled the machinery of war and peace, from tanks and naval ships to the automobiles that defined the American dream. The material even inspired artistic movements like constructivism, which celebrated the raw beauty of industrial forms in sculptures and architectural designs. Today, the industry has been transformed again by the rise of electric arc furnaces and mini-mills, which melt down scrap steel in a far more energy-efficient process. This has turned steel into one of the world's most recycled materials, with new beams and car frames regularly containing the melted-down history of old bridges and appliances. What drives our endless quest for stronger materials? Steel's own evolution from brittle iron to flexible, high-strength alloys points the way toward an even more advanced future, where new composites will push the boundaries of strength and lightness beyond anything we currently know. The Wright Flyer shuddered into the air, its engine powering a frame and engine block made from a material once more precious than silver. Aluminum, a metal that makes up nearly a tenth of the Earth's crust, was for centuries an elusive curiosity, so difficult to extract from its ore that a pure ingot was a symbol of extreme wealth. The Washington Monument itself was crowned with a 6-pound pyramid of it, a gleaming capstone that represented the height of technological prestige. This all changed in 1886 with the simultaneous, independent discovery of the Hall-Héroult process by an American and a Frenchman. This method uses a powerful electric current to break the strong chemical bonds in molten bauxite ore, liberating the pure aluminum metal. It was an energy-hungry process, but it finally cracked the code, turning a luxury item into an industrial commodity almost overnight. As materials scientist Dr. Hannah Lee observes, aluminum's abundance in the Earth's crust masked its energy-intensive production. It is a paradox of modern industry. The real magic of aluminum lies in its properties. It is incredibly light, about 1/3 the weight of steel, and it naturally forms a protective oxide layer that shields it from rust. This combination made it the darling of the transportation revolution. From the fuselages of airliners that shrunk the world to the engine blocks and wheels in our cars that improve fuel efficiency, aluminum's lightness directly translates to energy savings. But its versatility did not stop there. In the home, its impermeability to light, odor, and bacteria made aluminum foil a revolutionary tool for food preservation. In electronics, its excellent conductivity made it the perfect material for everything from the tiny wires in microchips to the massive high-voltage power lines that crisscross the countryside. Pure aluminum is relatively soft, so to give it the strength needed for a skyscraper's curtain wall or an aircraft's wing, it is alloyed with tiny amounts of other elements like copper, magnesium, or silicon. This creates materials that are startlingly strong for their weight, allowing architects to design taller buildings with less structural burden and engineers to craft faster, more efficient vehicles. The cultural impact was equally profound. In the 1920s and 30s, the sleek, silvery sheen of aluminum became synonymous with the speed and modernity of the Art Deco movement, appearing in everything from the sculpted grilles of luxury automobiles to the iconic streamlined toasters and radios found in homes. Yet this utility comes with an environmental ledger. Primary aluminum production remains extremely energy-intensive. This has turned recycling into a critical industry, as melting down existing aluminum requires only a fraction of the energy needed to create it from raw ore. Today, a staggering 75% of all the aluminum ever produced is still in use, a testament to a truly circular material life cycle. How did a metal go from crowning monuments to lining our pantry shelves? Its journey from a laboratory curiosity to a pillar of modern life reveals our relentless drive for materials that do more with less, a quest that would soon push us to engineer substances for realms far beyond our own. A gleaming Bakelite radio sat on a mid-century countertop, its synthetic shell a bold declaration of a new, man-made world. This was the dawn of the plastic age, a revolution forged not in earth or fire, but in the chemistry lab. For the first time, humanity was not just shaping materials found in nature. We were building them from the ground up, molecule by molecule, creating substances with properties that had never existed before. The story begins even earlier with celluloid, a material invented to replace ivory in billiard balls and save elephants from hunting. But the true explosion came from fossil fuels. Chemists discovered that the long-chain molecules within petroleum, called polymers, could be broken apart and reassembled into an astonishing array of new materials. By applying heat and pressure, they could force these chains to link up in a process called polymerization, creating everything from the resilient fibers of a nylon stocking to the lightweight, shatterproof bottle of a polyethylene container. This was not a single invention, but a cascade of them. Polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, gave us durable pipes for plumbing and versatile records for music. Polystyrene became the foam that insulated our homes and protected fragile goods in transit. The impact was immediate and profound. In medicine, single-use plastic syringes and sterile blood bags drastically reduced infection rates and saved countless lives. In the kitchen, plastic wrap and containers extended the shelf life of food, reducing waste in households around the globe. The low cost and moldability of plastic made consumer goods, from toys to telephones, accessible to millions. But this incredible versatility came with an invisible price tag. The very durability that made plastics so useful also made them nearly eternal in the environment. A plastic bottle tossed away today might outlive your grandchildren, slowly breaking down into smaller and smaller fragments. Environmental chemist Dr. Omar Patel explains the dilemma perfectly. Plastics are a double-edged sword, he says. They saved lives with sterile devices, but now threaten oceans with microplastics. This paradox is visible on a devastating scale in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a swirling vortex of plastic debris twice the size of Texas, where sea turtles mistake floating bags for jellyfish and albatrosses feed plastic shards to their chicks. The cultural response to this crisis is gaining momentum. The zero-waste movement challenges us to rethink our dependence on single-use plastics, advocating for reusable containers and packaging-free alternatives. Meanwhile, science is fighting back with innovation, developing bioplastics derived from renewable sources like corn starch and algae. These new polymers are designed to break down safely, offering a potential path forward. And in a beautiful twist, plastic has also become a medium for creation in the digital age. The filament fed into a 3D printer is often a type of plastic, allowing us to prototype inventions, print custom tools, and even create artificial limbs, layer by meticulous layer. We are surrounded by the legacy of this synthetic revolution, a material that reshaped modern life in less than a century. The question it forces us to confront is stark. What legacy will we leave with these materials of our own design? The answer may lie not in abandoning them, but in learning to wield their power with far greater wisdom, creating a next generation of materials that serve humanity without costing the earth. Deep within the Amazon, a game was played with a ball that seemed to possess a strange, lively spirit, bouncing with an energy unknown in the old world. This was the first encounter with natural rubber, a milky sap called latex harvested by tapping the bark of the heavier Brasiliensis tree. For centuries, this substance was a local curiosity, used for waterproof cloaks and playful spheres. But its potential was trapped by a fundamental flaw. In the heat, raw rubber would turn into a sticky, malodorous mess, and in the cold, it would become as brittle as glass. The material needed a transformation, a metamorphosis that would arrive by accident. Charles Goodyear, after years of penniless experimentation, famously dropped a mixture of rubber and sulfur onto a hot stove. Instead of melting, it charred like leather, becoming flexible yet stable. This discovery, vulcanization, used heat and sulfur to create strong cross-links between the long polymer chains in the rubber, preventing them from sliding apart. It was the alchemy that gave rubber its memory, its resilience, and its indispensable role in the modern world. Botanist Dr. Maria Silva observes rubber connected rainforests to factories. It sparked economic booms in Brazil and Southeast Asia, but also ecological and social conflicts. The demand for this new wonder material ignited a frenzy. In the Amazon, rubber barons built opulent mansions in the jungle city of Manaus, while subjecting local tappers to brutal and often deadly working conditions in a system of debt peonage. The global monopoly was shattered by an act of botanical espionage. In 1876, the English explorer Henry Wickham smuggled 70,000 rubber seeds out of Brazil, packaged carefully in banana leaves. They were rushed to the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, where the seedlings were cultivated and then shipped to British colonies in Southeast Asia. Vast, orderly rubber plantations in Malaysia and Sri Lanka soon eclipsed wild Amazonian production, reshaping the global economy and leaving a legacy of displaced ecosystems. The need for rubber became a matter of national security during the Second World War, when Japan seized Southeast Asian supplies. This crisis spurred one of the most rapid scientific mobilizations in history, leading to the creation of synthetic rubbers derived from petroleum. Today, we live in a world of both, with natural rubber still prized for its high performance in things like airplane tires, and synthetic variants offering cost-effective durability for everyday car tires and shoe soles. This material's flexibility extends far beyond the road. Its impermeability made sterile, disposable medical gloves possible, revolutionizing surgery and hygiene. Its shock absorption gives us the bouncing basketball and the running shoe, enhancing both sport and daily life. Yet this story is shadowed by sustainability issues, as the demand for rubber continues to drive deforestation in sensitive tropical regions. How did a simple tree sap become the silent partner to every journey we take? Its unique ability to stretch and rebound, to seal and protect, makes it a material that truly moves with us, a hidden force in the rhythm of our mobile world. The dark, sticky substance seeping from the ground at Hit in ancient Mesopotamia was more than just a curious natural tar. For the Babylonians, it was a gift from the gods, a perfect sealant for waterproofing their baths and binding the bricks of their majestic processional road. This material, asphalt, would one day become the silent fabric of our global mobility, the vast gray canvas upon which modern life travels. At its heart, asphalt is a simple yet profound mixture of aggregates like sand and stone held together by bitumen, a thick, black residue from petroleum. This combination creates a surface that is both remarkably smooth and incredibly durable, able to flex under the weight of countless vehicles and endure the relentless expansion and contraction of changing seasons. Civil engineer Dr. Sarah Chen explains that asphalt is the skin of our infrastructure. It withstands weather and weight, yet we often overlook its engineering. The Romans, ever the practical innovators, recognized its waterproofing qualities, using it to line their aqueducts and cisterns, ensuring a clean water supply for their bustling cities. Centuries later, innovators like John McAdam refined road construction with his method of layered stone, a principle that directly informs the asphalt pavements we drive on today. The journey from raw material to ribbon of road is a feat of modern engineering. Bitumen is sourced either from natural deposits or, more commonly, as a byproduct of refining crude oil. To create the asphalt that paves our highways, this bitumen is heated and mixed with carefully graded aggregates to produce hot mix asphalt, which is then laid down by sophisticated paving machines in a continuous, rolling operation. The true genius of modern asphalt, however, lies in its recyclability. Old pavement is not waste, it is a resource. Through processes like milling, the old asphalt is ripped up, crushed, and reintroduced into new hot mix, sometimes accounting for over 30% of a new road's material. This circular economy reduces landfill waste and conserves virgin materials, but the story of asphalt extends far beyond the interstate. Its strength and smoothness are critical for the immense demands of airport runways, where jets land with tremendous force. Its waterproofing heritage continues in roofing shingles that protect our homes from the elements. And in a brilliant modern twist, porous asphalt allows stormwater to drain directly through the road surface into the ground below, reducing flooding and filtering pollutants before they reach our waterways. The remnants of the Appian Way, one of the earliest and most famous Roman roads, still show traces of this ancient technology, a testament to its enduring utility. What makes a road more than just a path? It is the material that turns a trail into a conduit for commerce, a route for connection, and a platform for progress. Asphalt's story is one of enhancing connectivity, paving the way for the next material that would not just connect places, but would connect us to the future of information itself. A Formula One car's chassis is a single, seamless shell of woven black threads, a material that feels almost weightless yet can withstand forces that would shred steel. This is carbon fiber, the ultimate fusion of chemistry and design, where strength is no longer measured by bulk, but by the intricate bonds between atoms. Its journey begins not with mining, but with a synthetic polymer fiber called polyacrylonitrile. These precursor fibers are subjected to extreme heat in a process called carbonization, which drives off everything except the strong crystalline chains of carbon atoms. These resulting filaments, thinner than a human hair, are then woven into fabrics that can be layered and shaped into any form, but the fabric alone is flexible and soft. The true magic happens when it is placed into a mold and infused with a special resin. When this resin cures, it locks the carbon fibers into a rigid, incredibly strong composite structure, a material that is both incredibly stiff and astonishingly light. Materials engineer Dr. Alex Reynolds explains that carbon fiber is reshaping industries. It allows designs that were once impossible, from wind turbine blades to prosthetic limbs. This unique combination of properties has revolutionized fields where every gram counts. In professional cycling, a carbon fiber frame provides a level of stiffness and responsiveness that translates a rider's power directly into speed, while also absorbing road vibrations for a smoother ride. In the skies, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner's airframe is over 50% carbon composite, a choice that drastically reduces the plane's weight, allowing it to burn significantly less fuel and fly greater distances. The legendary McLaren F1 supercar of the 1990s showcased this material's ultimate potential. Its core was a carbon fiber monocoque, a single-piece tub that served as both the car's chassis and a survival cell for the driver, offering unparalleled protection in a crash while contributing to the vehicle's record-breaking top speed. Yet, for all its performance benefits, carbon fiber presents a significant sustainability challenge. The very chemical processes that make it so strong and durable also make it notoriously difficult to recycle. Traditional methods like shredding or pyrolysis often degrade the valuable fibers, and most end up in landfills. This forces us to ask a critical question. How do we balance the incredible promise of such advanced materials with the environmental responsibility of their entire life cycle? The ongoing research into new recycling techniques and bio-based precursors is a race against time as the demand for carbon fiber soars. This quest for the ultimate material, one that is strong, light, and truly sustainable, is pushing science toward an even smaller frontier, where engineering happens not with threads, but with individual atoms. A single layer of carbon atoms locked in a perfect hexagonal honeycomb is stronger than steel and more conductive than copper. This is graphene, a material that seems to defy the very laws of physics, discovered through an almost playful experiment in 2004. Physicists Andrei Geim and Konstantin Novoselov used simple Scotch tape to peel away layer after layer from a block of graphite until they isolated a sheet just 1 atom thick. This act of mechanical exfoliation revealed a substance with staggering potential, a true wonder of the modern laboratory. As physicist Dr. Lena Kowalski observes, graphene is a playground for scientists. Its properties defy conventional limits, but scaling production remains a hurdle. The challenge lies in moving from a microscopic flake on a piece of tape to mass production. One of the most promising methods is chemical vapor deposition, where a gas containing carbon is pumped into a chamber and baked at high temperatures until the carbon atoms arrange themselves into that perfect honeycomb lattice on a metal surface like copper. This process can create sheets of graphene large enough to be useful, but it is expensive and complex. So what can we do with this atomic scale marvel? Its incredible conductivity and transparency make it a prime candidate for the next generation of electronics. Imagine a smartphone screen that is unbreakable, paper-thin, and so flexible you could roll it up like a scroll. Graphene could make that a reality. Beyond your pocket, its properties are being woven into composite materials, where just a tiny amount of graphene added to a plastic can transform it into something far stronger and more resilient, perfect for lighter car parts or tougher sporting goods. In medicine, the possibilities are profound. Ultra-sensitive graphene-based sensors could detect minuscule traces of disease markers in a single drop of blood, enabling diagnosis long before symptoms even appear. Its unique structure also makes it an ideal filter. A membrane pierced with pores just the right size could allow water molecules to pass through while blocking salt and toxic impurities, a technology that could provide clean drinking water in disaster zones or from the sea. Yet, manipulating matter at this fundamental level brings new questions. The ethical landscape of nanotechnology is still being mapped, considering the long-term effects of introducing such a persistent and powerful new material into our bodies and our environment. What happens when we engineer reality atom by atom? Graphene is not just a new substance, it is a doorway to that next frontier, a glimpse of a future where materials are not found, but designed from the ground up. High above a city street, bamboo scaffolding creaks gently in the wind, a living lattice that supports the growth of steel and glass. This is not a relic from the past, but a vibrant blueprint for the future, built from one of the planet's fastest-growing plants. Bamboo is a grass of surprising might, with a tensile strength that can rival steel, yet it grows to maturity in just 3 to 5 years, rapidly absorbing carbon from the atmosphere all the while. For thousands of years, it has been woven into the fabric of Asian life, providing the structure for homes, the pulp for paper, and the fiber for soft, breathable textiles. Botanist Dr. Rajiv Mehta explains that bamboo is nature's gift. It regenerates without replanting and supports biodiversity, making it a model for eco-design. Its secret lies in its biology. Hollow segments called internodes are separated by solid nodes, a structure that provides immense strength for very little weight. But to become a durable building material, bamboo must first be treated. Without proper preservation, its natural starches attract insects and invite decay. Traditional methods like smoking or water leaching are now supplemented by modern chemical treatments using boron salts, which protect the cane without harming the environment. The engineering applications are equally sophisticated. Researchers are now using bamboo to reinforce concrete, where its high tensile strength compensates for concrete's weakness under tension. Strips of bamboo are embedded within the concrete, creating a composite material that is both strong and sustainable. This principle extends to everyday objects. Bamboo furniture, with its elegant grain and warm hue, brings a touch of natural beauty into our homes, while in the kitchen, its tender young shoots are a crisp, nutritious staple in countless culinary traditions. The cultural significance of bamboo runs deep. In Asian art, it symbolizes resilience and elegance, often painted bending in the wind but never breaking. It is carved into flutes and other instruments, its hollow form producing resonant, soothing tones. Perhaps the most powerful demonstration of its capabilities is found in the earthquake-resistant bamboo houses of Colombia. Architects there have designed structures with flexible bamboo frames that sway with seismic forces rather than shattering, protecting inhabitants where rigid materials might fail. How can ancient materials solve modern problems? The story of bamboo, a grass that builds skyscrapers and shelters families, encourages us to look to nature for inspiration, finding strength not in brute force but in graceful, renewable resilience. The heat of the desert sun is absorbed by thick, earthy walls, creating a cool refuge inside a pueblo home. These structures, built from adobe, are a perfect marriage of material and environment. Adobe is a simple yet profound mixture of clay, sand, straw, and water, hand-formed into bricks and dried by the sun itself. This ancient recipe creates a living architecture, one that possesses a remarkable quality known as thermal mass. The dense earth absorbs heat during the day, preventing the interior from overheating, and then slowly releases that stored warmth throughout the cool desert night. This natural temperature regulation requires no external energy, making adobe one of the most sustainable building materials ever devised. Architect Dr. Carlos Mendez explains that adobe buildings breathe with the environment. They embody a harmony between humans and earth that modern architecture often misses. The process of making adobe is a community ritual passed through generations. Workers mix the clay, sand, and straw with water, often using their bare feet to achieve the perfect consistency. This mud is then packed into wooden molds to form bricks, which are left to cure in the open air for several weeks. The resulting walls are thick and load-bearing, supporting the weight of the roof and providing incredible structural stability. Their very mass makes them highly resistant to fire and even offer significant protection against extreme weather events, a principle now being studied for modern disaster-resistant design. The legacy of this earthen architecture is writ large across the Americas. The Chan Chan complex in Peru stands as a stunning testament to its durability, the largest adobe city in the world. Once the capital of the Chimu Kingdom, its vast plazas and intricate relief walls, built entirely from sun-dried earth, have endured for over 600 years in a coastal desert environment. Today, this ancient wisdom is being rediscovered in sustainable housing projects, where modern builders combine traditional adobe techniques with stabilized foundations and protective plaster coatings to create affordable, energy-efficient homes. The cultural traditions are embedded in every hand-smoothed wall and rounded corner, a direct physical connection to the land and its history. What wisdom do these traditional materials hold for our future? The profound simplicity of adobe, a material formed from the very ground beneath our feet, challenges our obsession with complex, energy-intensive solutions. It reminds us that true resilience can be found in harmony with nature, a lesson that now guides us as we turn to materials engineered not from earth but from human imagination. The wing of a modern aircraft is not carved from a single block, but woven from thousands of carbon fibers set in a tough resin. This is the essence of composite materials, a powerful fusion where individual substances are combined to create something far greater than their parts. By embedding strong, stiff fibers like carbon or glass into a supportive matrix, often a polymer resin, engineers can design a material with a specific set of strengths, tailoring it to withstand precise stresses in a way a single, uniform material never could. As materials scientist Dr. Fiona Grant observes, composites are the ultimate customization. They allow us to design materials from the molecule up for exact performance needs. This principle of synergy is visible everywhere. A fiberglass fishing rod uses glass fibers in a plastic resin to achieve a perfect balance of flexibility and strength, allowing it to bend dramatically without breaking. The manufacturing process is just as ingenious. In pultrusion, fibers are pulled continuously through a resin bath and then a heated die, emerging as a solid, strong profile like a beam or a rod. For more complex shapes, like an aircraft wing, layers of fabric are laid up in a mold and then cured under high heat and pressure in a massive autoclave, a giant oven that solidifies the resin into a rigid, incredibly durable structure. This rigorous creation is matched by relentless testing, where prototypes are subjected to millions of cycles of stress to simulate a lifetime of use, and impacted with controlled forces to ensure they can survive unexpected events. In the automotive world, composite bodies are shedding hundreds of pounds from vehicles, directly translating into better fuel efficiency and longer range for electric cars. On the water, composites are the material of choice for boat hulls because they are immune to the corrosive decay that plagues metal in saltwater environments. Perhaps the most famous example is the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, whose fuselage is primarily a carbon fiber composite. This single design choice reduced the plane's weight so significantly that it achieves up to 20% better fuel economy than its aluminum-bodied predecessors. Yet this advanced performance presents a formidable challenge. How do you recycle a material designed to be indestructible? The very bonds that make composites so strong also make them difficult to separate and process at the end of their life, a puzzle that material scientists are now racing to solve. How do we create materials that are truly greater than the sum of their parts? Composites push us beyond simple strength toward a future of intelligent materials that can sense and even respond to the world around them. A bridge senses the tiny tremor of a growing crack and instantly fills it with a healing agent. This is not science fiction, but the reality of smart materials, substances designed to perceive their environment and react in a purposeful, dynamic way. These advanced composites and alloys are the next great evolution, moving us beyond materials that are merely strong or durable, toward those that are truly intelligent. They can sense pressure, temperature, light, or magnetic fields, and then respond by changing shape, generating electricity, or even mending themselves. As engineer Dr. Liam O'Connell notes, smart materials are blurring the line between inanimate and living systems. They bring a new dimension of functionality to design. Consider the principle of piezoelectricity. Certain crystals and ceramics generate a small electrical voltage when you squeeze or bend them. This simple phenomenon is harnessed in the soles of high-tech sneakers, where every footstep creates a tiny pulse of power that can charge a fitness tracker. On a much larger scale, piezoelectric materials are embedded in dance floors and railway stations, capturing the kinetic energy of countless footsteps and vibrations to help power the lights overhead. It is a material that literally turns motion into energy. Then there are thermochromic pigments which change color in response to heat. A coffee mug might display a hidden pattern when filled with a hot drink, or a children's bath toy can signal when the water is too warm. On an industrial level, These pigments are applied to machinery and aircraft engines as a simple, visual warning system for overheating, preventing costly damage and enhancing safety. In medicine, smart materials are creating gentle revolutions. Hydrogels, networks of polymer chains that can hold vast amounts of water, are engineered to respond to specific conditions within the body. A hydrogel capsule might remain inert until it reaches a certain acidity level in the gut, then swell and release a drug payload with pinpoint accuracy. This biomimicry extends even further with self-healing polymers. Inspired by the way human skin repairs a cut, these plastics contain tiny, embedded microcapsules filled with a liquid healing agent. When a crack forms, the capsules rupture and release the liquid into the damage, where it hardens and seals the breach. This technology is now being integrated into everything from smartphone screens to the coatings on cars, promising a future where minor scratches and cracks vanish on their own. What happens when materials think for themselves? This new intelligence raises profound questions about autonomy and control. If a building's frame can shift its own weight during an earthquake, who is responsible for the decisions it makes? The ethical landscape of these autonomous systems is still being charted, yet the potential is breathtaking, pointing toward a world where our environment is not just built, but is interactive, responsive, and almost alive. A lone merchant's ledger from 14th century Venice records bolts of silk, sacks of pepper, and ingots of copper, but its true cargo was far more precious. It carried ideas. These sprawling trade networks, from the overland Silk Road to the maritime spice routes, functioned as the central nervous system of human advancement, circulating not just objects but the very seeds of innovation across continents. When a Chinese jade carver met a Persian metalworker in a Samarkand bazaar, their conversation could spark a new artistic technique. When a recipe for papermaking traveled from China to Baghdad, it was refined with local linen rags, creating a stronger sheet that would eventually fuel the European Renaissance. Historian Dr. Fatima Al-Jamal captures this perfectly, noting that material exchange was the internet of the ancient world. It connected disparate cultures and accelerated progress in ways we are only beginning to fully appreciate. The great trade hubs were the engines of this exchange. Venice grew fabulously wealthy not merely by storing goods, but by mastering the information that came with them. Its merchants understood the subtle differences between spices from different islands and the precise qualities of silks from various Chinese provinces. Farther east, Samarkand thrived at the crossroads of the Silk Road. Its markets a dazzling mosaic of languages, religions, and goods, where a single caravan could carry glassware from Rome, ivory from Africa, and rubies from Burma. This constant interaction forced a new level of economic sophistication. The value of a material was no longer just its rarity or beauty, but its role in a complex intercontinental system. Guilds emerged as powerful institutions to control this value, fiercely guarding the secrets of their crafts, from the glassblowers of Murano to the swordsmiths of Damascus, turning specialized knowledge into a form of economic power. Maritime exploration shattered old limits and created new dependencies. The voyages of Zheng He's treasure fleet and later European navigators were fundamentally missions to secure materials, mapping the world in pursuit of pepper, cloves, and gold. This global reach had a paradoxical effect. It made once rare materials more accessible, but it also concentrated enormous power and ignited brutal conflicts over resources we still see today, from historical struggles over rubber plantations to modern tensions surrounding oil fields. The human stories within this vast system are equally compelling. Consider Marco Polo, whose travels were inspired by the incredible materials he encountered. His accounts of Chinese paper money, burning black stones we call coal, and asbestos cloth fired the European imagination and fueled a new age of ambition. This cultural fusion is beautifully preserved in artifacts like Sino-Portuguese porcelain, where traditional Chinese blue and white patterns were painted on forms designed specifically for European dining tables, a perfect hybrid of Eastern artistry and Western function. How did the quest for materials shape global history? It drew the first rough map of our interconnected planet, proving that a new alloy in Anatolia could revolutionize warfare in Britain, and that a dye from Central America could color the robes of French royalty. This legacy reminds us that materials are not passive objects, but active bridges between peoples, carrying within them the potential for both magnificent collaboration and devastating conflict. The very flow of these substances wove the separate threads of human experience into a single, tangled, and dynamic story. A strip-mined mountain stands as a stark monument to our material desires, its terraced cliffs a brutal geometry of loss. For every wonder our enduring materials have created, from the Great Pyramid to the smartphone, an ecological ledger has been quietly accumulating. The very processes that built civilizations, the smelting of ores and the felling of forests for charcoal, often left behind scarred landscapes and polluted waterways, a hidden cost buried in the foundation of progress. We are now confronted with the full life cycle of our creations, from the energy-intensive extraction of raw resources to the finality of the landfill. Environmentalist Dr. Aris Green challenges us to weigh the legacy of materials not just by their utility, but by their footprint on the planet. This reckoning has sparked a vital shift toward a circular economy, a model that seeks to eliminate the very concept of waste. We see this in the beautiful efficiency of aluminum, where recycling a single can save 95% of the energy required to make a new one from raw ore, creating a nearly closed loop. But the innovation extends far beyond metal. Scientists are now growing building materials from the root structures of mushrooms called mycelium, which can be formed into biodegradable packaging and insulation. They are cultivating algae into bioplastics that can replace petroleum-based polymers, offering a path to materials that are part of the natural carbon cycle from the start. These advancements, however, are shadowed by pressing social justice concerns. The communities living near mines and refineries, often in poorer nations, frequently bear the heaviest burden of pollution and health impacts, raising difficult ethical questions about who benefits from our materials and who pays the price. In response, governments are implementing stricter regulations on emissions and waste, while consumers are increasingly using their purchasing power to demand products with a lighter environmental touch. A powerful symbol of this new ethos is the cradle-to-cradle certification, a rigorous standard that evaluates a product's entire existence. It asks not just if a material is less bad, but if it is genuinely good, designed from the outset to be safe, recyclable, and restorative. This philosophy applies to entire buildings where every component is considered for its next life. How can we honor the past while building a sustainable future? The answer may lie not in abandoning our material heritage, but in evolving it, weaving the wisdom of circular systems and ethical sourcing into the very fabric of our next chapter. A simple ceramic bowl in a Japanese tea ceremony is never just a container. Its rough texture, its irregular shape, all speak of the aesthetic of wabi-sabi, a profound appreciation for humility, impermanence, and natural beauty. Every material in that room is a silent language, from the unvarnished wood of the alcove to the smooth silk of the host's kimono, each one embodying centuries of cultural values and beliefs. Across the globe and throughout history, our most enduring materials have been saturated with meaning far beyond their physical properties. Gold was not merely shiny, it was the color of the gods, a symbol of immortality in cultures from the pharaohs of Egypt to the emperors of the Incas. In China, jade was revered not for its beauty alone, but because its toughness and cool touch were seen as the very essence of virtue and moral integrity. An oak tree's strength made it a universal symbol of endurance and sovereignty in European folklore. Anthropologist Dr. Anya Sharma explains that materials are not just physical, they are repositories of cultural memory, telling stories of who we are and what we cherish. This symbolic power shapes our most profound rituals. In ancient Egypt, the linen used to wrap a mummy was not simple cloth. Its quality, its weave, and its purity were a direct reflection of the deceased's status and a crucial element for their journey into the afterlife. In medieval Europe, stained glass windows transformed sunlight into a heavenly narrative, using vibrant blues and reds to illustrate biblical stories for a largely illiterate populace, making the church itself a sacred text written in light and color. Materials become the physical form of national identity. The Statue of Liberty's copper skin was chosen not only for its resilience against the sea air, but for its warm, welcoming glow, a beacon of enlightenment and new beginnings. This symbolism can also evolve, revealing shifts in our collective conscience. For centuries, ivory carved in Africa and Asia was a universal mark of wealth and refinement. Today, that same substance speaks primarily of conservation, of the ethical cost of beauty, and the urgent need to protect endangered species. This deep, spiritual connection to material is powerfully expressed by the Maori people of New Zealand. For them, Pounamu, or greenstone, is not a mere gem. It is a treasure with its own life force, or mori, often passed down through generations as an heirloom. The stone embodies the ancestors and the land itself, its value measured in history and kinship, not in carats. When a master carver shapes a piece of Pounamu into a pendant, they are not just creating jewelry, they are revealing the spirit already present within the stone. This reverence for traditional materials is experiencing a powerful revival in modern design, where architects and artists are weaving ancient crafts and local substances into contemporary works, creating a dialogue between past and present. So we must ask, what do our own material choices say about the values of our time? The journey of a material is never just a physical transformation from raw resource to finished object. It is a story we tell ourselves about power, faith, beauty, and our place in the world. A 3D printer hums quietly, its nozzle depositing layer upon layer of wet clay to form the curving wall of a house. This is not a model, but a home, printed on site using soil dug from the very ground it stands upon. We are entering a new era of material innovation, one defined not by what we take from the earth, but by what we can create in harmony with it. Scientists and designers are now engineering substances that are smarter, greener, and fundamentally more responsive to our needs. They are cultivating leather from the root structures of mushrooms, creating a material that is both luxurious and biodegradable. They are developing transparent wood by stripping away the colored lignin and replacing it with a polymer, resulting in a window that is stronger than glass and a better insulator. In laboratories, tiny crystals called quantum dots are being engineered to emit pure, vibrant light, promising a future of hyper-efficient displays and solar panels. Futurist Dr. Leo Torres observes that the future of materials lies in bio-inspired design and digital fabrication. We are moving from extraction to creation. This shift is visible in the astonishing concept of 4D printing. Here, objects are not just printed in 3 dimensions, they are printed with a built-in ability to change shape over time when exposed to a specific trigger like water, heat, or light. Imagine a flat-packed chair that assembles itself when it rains, or a medical stent that expands to the perfect size only when it reaches the warmth of the human body. This is the promise of programmable matter. The process of discovery itself is being revolutionized by artificial intelligence. Advanced algorithms can now sift through millions of potential molecular combinations in seconds, predicting new material properties with superhuman speed and identifying formulas for better batteries or stronger alloys that might have taken humans decades to find. This digital revolution is being matched by a philosophical one, with open-source platforms allowing innovators from around the world to share blueprints for everything from prosthetic limbs to water filters, democratizing the tools of creation. Yet, this powerful new control over the building blocks of life raises profound ethical questions. When we genetically engineer bacteria to secrete spider silk proteins or yeast to produce rose oil, where do we draw the line between a factory and an organism? The potential for unintended consequences in our ecosystems is a serious consideration that must guide our progress. This collaborative spirit is beautifully embodied by the biobrick standard in synthetic biology. Just as a set of universal Lego bricks can be combined in infinite ways, biobricks are standardized sequences of DNA that researchers around the globe can share and use to program living cells, building biological machines that can clean up pollution or produce life-saving medicines. This collective effort even extends to the final frontier, with companies seriously investigating space mining for rare elements like platinum and helium-3, which are scarce on Earth but abundant on asteroids, potentially fueling a new age of clean energy. But such a monumental shift will inevitably reshape our economies and job markets, demanding new skills and creating new forms of work we can barely imagine today. What new materials will define the next century? The answer lies not in a single substance, but in a new relationship with the material world itself, one where our creations are intelligent, adaptive, and seamlessly integrated into the circle of life. The clay bricks of Mesopotamia and the graphene of tomorrow are threads in the same grand tapestry, a story woven from human ingenuity, conflict, and aspiration. This journey from sand to sky reveals how we transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, turning simple substances into the very foundations of culture and the engines of technological leaps. Each material we have explored carries a profound lesson, a whisper from the past about the true cost of progress, the power of global connection, and the deep-seated human need to express identity through the physical world. These substances are far more than silent objects. They are active witnesses to our history, chronicling our triumphs and our failures, and they are now essential partners in crafting a future we have yet to imagine. So the next time you walk through a city, pause for a moment. Look at the concrete under your feet, the glass in the windows, the steel in the frames. Each one contains an epic tale of discovery, a saga of fire and ambition that connects you directly to every civilization that came before. We would love to hear which material story resonated most deeply with you. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries that shape our world, be sure to subscribe for more. Together, we can continue to build a legacy of knowledge and wonder that will endure for generations to come.